Welcome to another episode of Shots from the Winchester podcast, where we explore leadership topics from a variety of perspectives. This podcast is brought to you by Greencastle Consulting, your nation's premier strategy execution firm. Welcome to another episode of Shots from the Winchester podcast, brought to you by Greencastle Consulting, your nation's premier strategy execution firm. We're going to have a conversation today with Milton Bucher and Amy Sanchez, and we're going to talk about VIE, which is Veterans in Energy. And we're just going to take off. We have a lot of conversation here. We have three veterans here. So if you're a veteran, you're definitely going to love this conversation. So let's get started. I'll start with you, Amy. Can you tell the audience just a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, so Amy Sanchez. I'm the Senior Manager of Strategic Relationships here at Greencastle. Veteran, I commissioned from West Point in 2014. I was a military police officer for 8 years, stationed at different places, culminated with company command out of Fort Carson, Colorado, and then transitioned through DoD Skillbridge to Greencastle, where I've been since I left the Army. So nice. Love it here. And yeah, love what we do. Nice.
Skillbridge is a whole other conversation we could jump into, especially when it comes to veterans in here and in Greencastle and stuff. Mm-hmm. Milton, let's jump in with you. Talk about who you are and all about veterans in energy.
Yeah, so in the energy industry, I work at a Berkshire Hathaway company, Mid-American Energy. Nice. I'm focused on contractor operations, so folks that come in and help us with the operations from scheduling to project management to really delivery of all of our construction projects for our customers and our company, as well as our emergency preparedness teams to make sure that we, recover after a disaster event, major storm, that kind of stuff. From my military background, I was a 62 Echo and 96 Bravo, so intel analyst as well as a heavy junker. So I operated a lot of up-armored equipment in Bosnia, was one of, I would say, my favorite deployments, and really enjoyed my time and found this natural transition over to the energy sector after fumbling through a few other jobs. So after kind of a rough transition out of the military, but really excited to be in the energy industry now, and I've been there for 22 years. So nice. Really love where I'm at now.
That's great. Before we started, we just had a conversation about Bosnia, because I was also stationed in Bosnia, and we also had the same kind of experience. It was like, this is one of my favorite deployments, right? It was pretty chill for me anyway. And now I know deployments don't always end up that way, but Bosnia was definitely a good, memorable thing. I learned a lot about myself as well there, and so it was definitely a good experience for me.
Yeah, me as well. I mean, it was great growth opportunity. Being young in the military, and I loved 99% of it. I did end up fracturing my back in Bosnia, but I gotta say, I no regrets. Loved my time there. Mm-hmm. It was so amazing people. Really thankful for the help and support that we provided them, and just an awesome and amazing opportunity to be with other veterans there.
Yeah, and with that, your transition out, you said it was a difficult one, and I know we talk about transitions coming out of the military and what do you do. How does your position in the military position you for civilian work? Could you just talk about that for a moment? Because I think that our audience might take something from that.
Yeah, my transition was really difficult. So I as I was trying to come up with my future plan, I went through it, and I got in the room, and I really felt like I had two options. There was representation there from law enforcement, and there was representation from truck driving schools.
Wow, yeah.
And so I really felt like someone was telling me, based on my resume, that's what I needed to pick from. What I didn't see in the room was anyone from the energy sector, which is so disappointing, in that these are such great careers. They offer a very high salary. They offer unbelievable stability. You don't have to worry about layoffs, those types of things. And even more, it's such a great fit. It's service oriented. Everything that you do in the military is easily transfers your skills, your knowledge, and your desire to serve and help others. So it's just an amazing fit that is not talked about enough. Fast forward to today, I think it's talked about a lot more. Department of Labor said, hey, we have to get veterans into the industry. It's a risk if we don't, because that skill set is so desirable and such a good fit. And so I think today that you have Center for Energy Workforce Development, Troops to Energy Jobs.
Nice.
You have Veterans in Energy, which we'll talk more about. But you have a lot more groups making sure that awareness is increased.
That's great. A lot of veterans come out and they lose a sense of purpose. That takes them down a hard rabbit hole sometimes. And so having this kind of information, knowing that this is a possibility for some people, it could be eye-opener for them, could give them some kind of purpose back. So
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
great. Yeah.
And like when I talk to veterans that are transitioning, I have people reach out to me, friends that I was friends with in the military. I'm like, hey, check out the utility industry. Check out the energy industry. There's so much. And I wasn't super aware of it until coming to Greencastle. And we do a lot of work in the utility industry. But I mean, if I didn't land at Greencastle, that's where I would look. It's a great industry to be a part of. And again, like you said, it feels like a natural transition for veterans to move into the utility industry.
I think like in the past, everyone thought of the power company, the gas company, the water company is like not very exciting. And I think they totally missed the boat. I mean, it used to be they hardly had to post the positions in those companies because it was always family, and others knew the value of the actual career and how it was such a great one to follow. So, I think, again, that's changed. But when you start looking at all the work that's done in energy, whether it's in a helicopter or outdoors in storm, in the bad weather, rain or shine, everyone has to get their power back on in after a major event. So, it is an amazing feeling, to go to a community that's been impacted by a fire, by, a tornado, or by a hurricane, and restoring their life back to normal. And I think it gives you that feeling that I think many of us felt in the military, where you're giving back and really supporting. So, again, amazing fit. I think it's not talked about enough. And I love the fact that there are organizations, increasing that awareness.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a big goal for Veterans in Energy. So can you talk a little bit about that organization, how it got started, how you got involved with it, and its kind of purpose?
Yeah, and I'm really excited to participate in Veterans in Energy. And here's the basics. You had Department of Labor that said, hey, there is risk. We need to find people with the right skill set to staff the energy careers of the future. A lot of people retiring in a short amount of time, as well as the growth. And so, they helped create the Center for Energy Workforce Development. CEWD is commonly known. And really their focus was the awareness piece and encouraging companies to hire veterans, as well as making sure veterans were aware of the opportunities. What they didn't do was handle any kind of retention challenges, and they also didn't really work with the energy companies to improve their programs, which lead to those hires and that retention. So, Veterans in Energy, in a nutshell, is really they're the national level resource group for energy companies to provide them the support for programs that support veterans and help them retain them. So get veterans to be interested, truly interested, and connect them with those folks, as well as retain them, because the numbers are painful. So veterans get out of the military, they quit their first job 45% first year, as we know, 20 additional percent the next year. So 65% are not going to stay with that career when they first get out. And so with that retention, it's so important that we take care of folks and offer them the right network of support. And half the time, like you mentioned, making sure they understand the purpose and know that it is such a great fit.
Wow. Yeah, that's important. And so how are maybe I could ask you this as Veterans in Energy, how are you approaching those veterans that are coming out of the service now?
Yeah. So it's really grown to be, you have multiple organizations that support the process. And so you have Troops to Energy jobs that are saying, hey, go here. It's a single place where you can get a coach. You can ask questions about the industry. You can also, they'll help you with your resume, kind of just an additional layer of support.
Okay.
And also, here's the postings for all of the companies across the country that participate. So it's kind of a single place to look what state has what positions. And again, it's not just linemen, it's not just engineers. It's very vast, right? You have everything from a gas tech, a wind tech, a electric lineman to a lawyer, a nurse. There's almost every job that's in the military is also in the energy industry, and people just don't necessarily connect those dots. But the amazing thing is you have this crossover. So you have troops to energy trying to increase awareness. You also have energy companies that for the first time, really in the last few years, we've had to get much more aggressive as an industry in recruiting. And again, we used to not have to do that, right? It was word of mouth, family, friends. Everyone knew the value of the job. They filled them very quickly. And so energy companies are recruiting. They're going to bases, reminding people of the value of the careers, the stability, the pay, high pay, and all of the opportunities within. So so you have that crossover between the government agencies. The transition services are also recognizing that it may not be as fast of a hire, but it is a long-term, high-quality career. Yeah. And so that word of mouth is also helping. So, nice. I'm excited because, I'm the vice president of Veterans in Energy, and it's really exciting to see folks not have to struggle for 5 to 10 years to find an energy career.
Yep.
Wow.
And one thing that I have seen going to the conferences for the last several years is how the energy companies and the utilities are working together and sharing information about veterans and sharing information about their employee resource groups. And VIE does such a great job bringing everyone together to share that information, best practices, lessons learned. Yeah. You see that, and you see that cross collaboration. Like, hey, we did this for our veterans. This is really helping. Hey, have you done this with your ERG? Or hey, you need to stand up an ERG. This is VIE puts together a bunch of different resources to help folks stand up ERGs at their utilities. So I've seen a lot of that collaboration too, prioritizing veterans as a part of the workforce.
Nice. That's a beautiful thing. And it helps too, because I feel like a lot of veterans may not understand or know that that's a possibility for them. And I remember I have a friend of my wife's, who's also a veteran, had an issue trying to find work. I was just like, if you were in the service, there's Greencastle, there's look at SkillBridge. There's so many different types of sources out there for you to look into to find out, what you could possibly do,
Different career paths. Yeah,
definitely.
Troops to energy, it sounds like.
Yeah. And it just, it just feeds it downstream. And so, at the energy company, so what Veterans in Energy does is that as a national resource group, it supports all of the energy company resource groups. And so some have actual ERGs that they have folks participate, and some just do veteran initiatives. Veterans in Energy supports both, and so you don't have to have an employee resource group. You can just have veterans that care about veterans, or a HR team that needs some support and help, and that's, like you mentioned, the relationship and the connection that's so important. So whether it's a military leave policy that truly can impact the veterans or are currently serving military members, right? Care packages and initiatives, that all of that's shared with Veterans in Energy. So the initiatives that each company is doing, it's shared problems. So if an energy company is having difficulty getting union employees to participate in the resource group, or trying to break down some barriers between groups, that's the stuff that's just so impactful in sharing the information and truly helping veterans in need. And so I always say, hey, a resource group should truly be improving the employee experience at their business, but it also should help, and ultimately then help retain those employees. And our veterans are so valuable to the business and to the industry. We have to make sure we retain them. The key is, how do we make sure we provide them an appropriate network of support so they can be successful? And so between the leave policy items, the initiatives that are being shared, it is a great feeling to see from a national ERG level that those initiatives get pushed out, shared. volunteer time is very valuable. Company dollars are very, very challenged often with budgets.
Yeah.
And so if you can take templates from other companies on their veteran initiatives, save time, save money, and ultimately impact the veteran in the greatest way for each dollar you have, that's really the goal.
Nice.
And there's a culminating event for Veterans in Energy, and that takes place in February. If you could share a little bit about that, because I know we're involved in it year after year, and every year it gets bigger and better. There's such a huge sense of camaraderie there because most people there are veterans. Like, you don't have to be a veteran to attend, but there's a huge sense of camaraderie. There's a lot of laughs. There's a lot of ideas being shared within the utility industry. It's a great space. So if you can just share a little bit about that event.
Yeah, so every February or March, in the last few years it's fell in February, but it's called the Veterans and Energy Leadership Forum. And it's a week, usually of 2 or 3 days, where military leaders come in and speak, keynote speakers that are just unbelievable speakers, and from the energy industry, from the military, from leadership arena, from even we've had Secretary of State that spoke here a couple years ago, many and multiple 4-star generals, and so it's. And then professional development opportunities within the forum. So you come and it's kind of a variety of learn more about the industry so that you can be better at your job when you go back, right, and support your business, as well as professionally develop through the other speakers and keynotes. And so it is an absolute elite, power-packed speaker list that it is difficult. It's usually just over 300 people. It's usually maxed out and sold out, and people are just so excited to go and want to go every year.
Wow.
Again, for me, it truly offers 2 things. One, an opportunity for a veteran to really grow at whatever level they're at. There's a lot of directors, vice presidents, presidents, and CEOs that attend this conference. And, so you get a lot of networking, a lot of true professional development opportunity to enhance the skills and contacts and relationships that you have.
Nice.
And really the second thing is, in being in the industry, when you truly talk about the connections and how you can help other veterans, I think it's important. It's great. You found that career, but there's a lot of folks that need help getting there. So being able to identify ways that you can continue giving back, which just makes you stronger in the end, right? How can I give back, help somebody else find a impactful career? Is just so, it's such a great feeling. And the leadership forum, I think if everyone would look into it and look at the past speakers, I think they would just be very impressed. And it's
absolutely,
I can't think of one time I've attended and thought, gosh, I wish there were different speakers.
Yeah, it's I always leave usually very inspired. I look forward to that conference every year. It's one of the only conferences where there's like that many veterans, and I just get a lot out of it every year. So I'm really excited to attend in February.
No, I look forward to it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's again next February, and it's always in DC. This year it's at the Gaylord, and again we already have a great speaker list. Everyone will be impressed and excited if you attend. So,
nice.
I look forward to see everyone who comes. Like you said, it's 85% or greater are veterans or direct family member who served, and networking opportunities amazing. So,
wow.
And where can people find more information about?
Yeah, so I would encourage anyone who's a veteran and in energy, join as a member of Veterans in Energy. That way you get updates and basic information, whether it's professional development opportunities, support for you as a veteran, or support for your energy company.
Nice.
If you even if you're not in the energy industry, still go to veteransinenergy.org, and that will give you the information on the forum. It'll also give you some resource opportunities to learn more about the energy industry, as well as reach out directly to us. Always happy to talk to a veteran who's transitioning that out there looking for something. And if it's not energy, we're excited to help somebody go through the process, because those of us that have been through it, it's just tough. So
It can be daunting sometimes.
just sometimes you don't know what you're going to do. You just know you gotta be able to afford food and rent and find your way forward. And so I think talking to folks that have been through it, as well as considering the things that they learned, like me with the energy industry. I got out. I had two options: law enforcement or drive a truck. I picked law enforcement side and found out pretty fast that I didn't feel like I was treated well for how hard I was working to help the folks on the other end. And so it just wasn't for me. I have a lot of respect for those folks. It's a tough career path, but it just wasn't for me.
Yeah. So if you're out there listening to this right now, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe too, because we have conversations like this all the time. And leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about this conversation as well. What makes veterans best for this industry?
Man, it is such a natural fit.
Yeah.
I know it sounds silly a little bit, but when you talk about attention to detail, you talk about just in general being service oriented,
problem solvers. You see that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, everything that's pretty much ingrained to you day one through your service is such a natural fit. It's one of those, you have your day job, but if a storm comes through, that's what you're going to do.
Okay.
One thing that I see too in the utility industry is how ingrained they are with the community, because they're serving the community.
Yeah.
So you see that a lot. You see a lot of utility companies doing outreach in the community, doing a lot of volunteer work through their foundations, supporting the community. So it's just a great, you see that in the industry, and veterans naturally gravitate towards things like that.
Yeah, I agree.
And I love the fact that, so our veteran employee resource group, when we work a storm, so we'll work days on end, right, with very little sleep to get everyone back in power after a tornado that is just tremendously painful to see the community impacts.
Yeah. You'll
do that, and then you'll grab the veterans, and we go out and we help in the community, remove trees from their house, their cars, actually just get out and be involved. And I think it's such a great feeling. The camaraderie is amazing, but the feeling of just continuing to serve and do that.
Yeah.
I think from a business standpoint, just when we talked like the basics of how it's such a good fit. Like, this is high pressure, high volume work usually, and so I hate to say, the thrill of being able to deliver something impactful is your daily job.
Yeah.
And so you don't get bored. You're constantly trying to problem solve and find solutions for very difficult, often very difficult situations. So whether it's you're trying to find, savings on the financial side, or you're trying to find reliability to keep the power on. Yeah. I mean, it's just a really rewarding career.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think one thing too, the utility industry is so forward moving. Like, it's constantly evolving. We had a conversation this morning at a roundtable with Milton where he talked through some of the industry trends, and you just see how much the utility industry is changing and how they're incorporating AI and with predictive maintenance and things like that. And it's like, there's so much happening in the utility industry. I think sometimes people perceive it as, linemen or responding to storms. But I mean, if you look in the IT space, if you look at what they're doing with, grid modernization and things like that, like, there is so much happening. So there's a space for every type of veteran with every type of interest in the utility industry.
Yeah, 100%. Like, when you think of cyber, you think of IT, totally. You think of project management, you think of operations. When you really dive into it, it is absolutely amazing. And everyone, you think of from the gas teams, the gas techs out doing the work, the journeymen and the technicians that make sure the gas flow, and the linemen that are making sure that the power's on and we get it all put back together after an event. What if you look across the industry, one thing that's very significantly changing is the support staff to help make sure that they can do what they do best. And that means if we want to get the power back on or get the gas flowing quicker, we have to make sure they have everything well organized. We have to make sure they have everything that they need up front. And in some cases, we have to increase our communication to customers. We have to do a lot more prep stuff in order for that to effectively roll. And so, one thing I'm really proud of at Mid-American Energy is our restoration to our customers in the last 2 years has been 98% within 24 hours.
Wow.
So when you think when a tornado comes through or a major snow and ice event and all the challenges that come with that, to get 98% of people back in power that quickly, it's unheard of. And that's what I mean by veterans come in with a different mindset to say, how do we problem solve this? How do we fix it to have the least impact at the end of the day? And it takes that immediate problem solving skill that comes natural to most of us who have served. And so I think huge impacts can happen, but it is a changing environment. Our customers expect power more quickly. They're going to go to their cell phone or their computer to look for status updates.
Yep.
If they don't have power, if they don't have cell service, right, those are the things that really challenge them. So it is exciting, the changes, but it is very quickly and evolving industry.
Yeah. Hit us with that website one more time.
veteransinenergy.org.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's great because, again, if you're a veteran, an energy company, you're always welcome to go there. And if you can't find what you need, ping us. We'll help you, whether it's in the energy industry or not. We have a lot of connections. So if you need some help as a veteran, reach out. We're happy to help you.
Nice. Last thing I wanted to hit with you is we're going to diverge from this for a moment. We talked about that you have a farm. I want to hear about this.
So Milton is a very interesting guy in the best way.
Yeah.
I'll say I think I'm like a lot of veterans. You get out and you do what you love, but one thing I think most of us love is to stay busy. And so I'm always looking for an opportunity. I don't love to sleep a lot, and so I always look for something fun to do. And so I grew up on a farm. Grew up with horses and we had sheep at times, we had cows, and so one thing I've always wanted to do is make sure I continued that just because I love it so much. So I play in the farming realm. I've had cows, I had buffalo, still have buffalo, and I look forward to retirement and having more of them to play with.
That's awesome.
And I again as a veteran, I think it's really healthy for us to have a career, but also, do some of the stuff we love to balance it out. And I really love the time with my family, and I look for opportunities to play doing things that I enjoyed as a kid. Whether that's playing with a cow or playing with a horse or just driving the Jeep in the mud on the, you know what I mean? So,
How many acres do you have?
So we passed over 15,000. And again, some of it's it's family and it's group. I've learned, it's much more fulfilling if there's more of you to enjoy what you have. But we do have a pretty good chunk to play with, and I get excited every time I get to play after hours as much as I do during regular hours.
That's a good reminder to enjoy life and to, dig into your hobbies. Make sure you're having fun, because you can get lost in it. Things get busy. Life gets busy. And there's so much going on that can distract you. But if you're not focusing on enjoying life, what are you doing?
I think that's a great point. And I think we're putting a lot of emphasis on finding your career after the military, because, when we all served, that was like our purpose and that was almost our identity.
Yeah.
I think one thing I've noticed since transitioning is like I find a lot of fulfillment in my work, and it is a part of who I am, but I don't identify with it as much as I did in the military, and I don't know if any of us will ever find that fulfillment that we got from serving.
Yeah.
So having your career that you care about and you're passionate about is important, but you can also fill your life with other things. Like in the military, I feel like that was what I did. I didn't have a lot of time for hobbies. I didn't have a lot of time for other things to add to my life, but I found so much purpose in the military. Now that I've transitioned, I have my career, I'm passionate about it, and I love it. But now I have so many other things that I can also use to supplement my life. I feel like transitioning veterans, and this is a conversation I have with a lot of people when they're transitioning, is like they want to find that job and that's going to be everything. And it might not be. You know, you said you hopped around and you realized quickly that law enforcement wasn't for you. And you hopped around until you found the utility industry. You know, like I feel like when you're transitioning, your first job might not be perfect, but use that. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, you're going to learn about yourself. You're going to learn about that industry. Then you can pivot once you have more information. So you don't have to land on that forever job initially. And then you can also supplement your life with so many other hobbies and find fulfillment in so many other ways.
Yeah.
Serve on a board, join a volunteer group, do something with your church. Like you have so much more time and space available to do that when you're not serving. It's really hard to do when you're active duty there every day, you know? But that's just a piece of advice I would give. And that's what I consistently give to people when they're transitioning, because you can fill your life with so much more than your profession after service.
Yeah. And I love that. Like, my job isn't a job. For me, it's a career, and it truly is something I'm passionate about and love. The energy industry, and I'm very blessed by working for a great company, right? Where one thing in the energy industry is we've talked about, you know, really good pay, really you don't have to worry about layoffs, but the opportunity side we didn't really touch. And I would say this, like the amazing thing about my career is you can come into the energy industry and do one job, or you can do many. And so what the opportunity to move. So if you come in and you work in the gas side of our business and you decide, hey, I'm a little bored, I've mastered this, I want to do something different, you can move over to the electric side or the renewable side, or from operations to support departments. If you like the thrill of preparing for storms and major events, you can work in the emergency preparedness team. If you do additional schooling and you want to move from operations to cyber or IT, there's just so many opportunities. You really truly are you are your only limit. So whatever you decide you want to do, you really can continue. And then like you mentioned, like I always I'm not the greatest at balancing my time between work and home. I think we all always, I don't know that anyone's got it right. I think it's always, and it's always a moving target a little bit, but you know, there's nothing more exciting than to stand in a stream with my son, fly fishing, or standing and watching my daughter, tumble or do gymnastics. Right? There's awesome. Just no different. Nothing I do at work is more fulfilling than that fun. Yeah. And so if you have an opportunity to buy, a half an acre in the middle of nowhere to drive your Jeep and get stuck with your kids, or whatever it is, just find something that disconnects you from the work and reminds you of
what's
just
important.
life. Yeah, what's important to you and life in general.
Totally.
Nice.
That's great advice. Yeah.
Well, Milton, thank you so much for being on our show. Just one more time with the website, just so people have that again. Yeah,
veteransandenergy.org.
Yeah.
So again, any veteran in need, reach out. It's so impactful as a national level ERG, and the support that rolls down is amazing. And maybe the last thing I would share is, there are employees in all businesses that are in need of help. And one thing we've experienced, and several of these have not been veterans, and so I think naturally people think that these examples would just be veterans, and they're not. We've had people get sick in our business, and people hurry and donate time because they were going to be out with cancer for months.
Oh, wow.
And to donate time so that they don't have to go on long-term disability and have any financial impact. And so that people are so gracious to help and support fellow employees and coworkers, and we can all look for opportunities and ways to do that. And what I found most impactful, I've never seen a veteran in need that said, "Hey, I'm going to get a therapy dog. I just started with the company. I don't have PTO or paid time. I can't afford to go because I can't. It can't be a paid leave." Yeah. And everyone stepped up and gave them their time off so that they could go. And so. we should all look out for each other, veteran or not veteran, coworkers, humans, friends and family. And so just kind of a reminder for all of us that, you know, everyone's tough day. You never know what day it's going to be, but we should all look out for each other and look for opportunities to make somebody have a good day who's having a tough one, and know that they'll return the favor, you know, when it's your rough day.
Totally. And Milton, you live by that. Like, Milton's been a support for us at VetFest year over year.
Yes.
He shows up, he helps volunteer, and he's a huge support to VetFest. So we're very grateful for that, and we appreciate it.
No, I'm telling you, I get so excited to come. You know, Greencastle does such amazing things that I can stand behind, you know, supporting veterans and just the absolute amazing things you do all the time. I get excited to come, fly up here and spend some time and volunteer and support your efforts. So thanks for what you do, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And Amy, thank you again. You're always an awesome co-host. We got to have you back more often too. So
I'm always down to yap.
Yeah. So I'm going to leave everybody with this for the week, okay? There is no Pete in pizza.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't either, but I love pizza, so it's all good.
I don't know what that means. Go Birds, go Phillies.
All right, guys, have a great week.